Hello and welcome to The Late Show. I'm Belle Donati. Every day here on the show, we have been taking a theme, a category of watch, and we've been looking at what's out there in the salon within that category. Today, the last day of the show, is no different. You will get to see certain pieces close here. Today, we're talking all about craftsmanship. It is the last day, and that could be one of the most important topics. So, earlier, I went around the salon and had a look at what was out there this year. You'll have heard us speak over the last week about the link between watchmaking and art. But perhaps a better word might be craftsmanship, because that is the skill that watch brands have really been pushing to the fore over the last few years. These are watches that are finished by hand. So let's go take a look at some of them in the salon this year. We're going to start here at Beauregard. First up, it's the Beauregard Dahlia White Gold Iranian Turquoise. This floral and poetic creation, driven by a central tourbillon caliber, offers a delicate jewelry composition. With its dial in hand-polished natural turquoises enhanced by diamond setting, this watch demonstrates rare jewelry-making expertise. It features a 39mm case in white gold set with 330 diamonds, central tourbillon with flower-shaped cage, and dial in white gold set with 144 diamonds and 48 turquoise petals. Chanel Mademoiselle Privé Pincushion Tweed Motif Watch. Chanel is giving free rein to its craftsmanship with this new Mademoiselle Privé Piqué Aiguille collection. This seamstress tool becomes a watch with oversized dials. They offer an extraordinary level of expression for the 5 tableaux that form the collection. It features a 55mm case in titanium and yellow gold, set with 211 diamonds. Black lacquered dial decorated with a black tweed effect jacket pattern encircled by 120 diamonds, and jacket trimmed with 92 diamonds, pearls and hand-sculpted gold tools. Next up, it's the Chopard Impérial Day and Night. Emblematic of Chopard's Impérial collection, the lotus flower is associated with a changing sky in the background. This evolves with the time thanks to a 24-hour rotating disc. The dial set with sapphires and diamonds, and it's decorated with engraved gold lotus petals. It is an absolute model of refinement. It features a 36mm case in ethical rose gold, entirely set with diamonds, engraved gold lotus above the dial, and rotating day-night dial in lacquered and gold-powdered mother-of-pearl set with diamonds and sapphires. Grand Seiko Masterpiece Collection hand-engraved manual winding spring drive limited edition SBGZ009. Nature is the source of inspiration for Grand Seiko's craftsmanship creations. This watch, fitted with a manual winding spring drive caliber, has an entirely hand-engraved case. Each incision evokes a tree in a white birch forest in wintertime. It features entirely hand-engraved 38.5mm case in platinum, textured silver dial to catch the light, and it's an extra flat 9.8mm watch. Next, Piaget High Jewelry Cuff Watch. These 3 contemporary Piaget watches reinterpret the cuff watches of the 1960s and 70s, symbolizing Piaget's creativity. The oval dial, the signature of the Maison, is half hidden by the goldsmith's work on the bracelet. Each hand-engraved cuff is textured and set with precious stones on the outer edge of the case, with its dial in hard stone. It features cuff bracelets in gold, dials in hard stone, and precious stones inlaid on the case. Next, Trilobe, Une folle journée diamant or rose. With its Une folle journée watch and its rotating, off-center and floating rings, Trilobe confirms its artistically offbeat DNA. On this model in rose gold, the three rings, which indicate the hours, the minutes and the seconds, have been entirely set with diamonds. It features a 40.5mm case in rose gold, entirely set time rings and unobstructed view of the eccentric signature caliber. And finally, it's the Van Cleef & Arpels Ludo Secret Watch Mystery Set Emeralds. Van Cleef & Arpels is reinterpreting its signature Ludo bracelet from 1934 as new timepieces. Staying faithful to the taste for mystery held so dear by the Maison, the Ludo Secret watches reveal their white mother-of-pearl guilloche dials through the simultaneous pressure of two motifs in pink sapphires. It features Secret Watch in pink gold, white mother-of-pearl guilloche dial, and watch opening motifs set with pink sapphires. Well, there you go. That was a taste of the craftsmanship on display here at the Salon this year. We're going to dive into some of the detail on that with my guests in the studio today. We have Joanna Lange, who is a watchmaking expert. Thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon.
And then we've got Lorenzo Maillard, who is content specialist at Watches and Culture. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Listen, it's really great to talk to you. I would like to start with this, I guess, a little bit more esoteric notion of what craftsmanship means within watchmaking. The early 17th century watches were necessarily ornate because, of course, they were only made for the most privileged. Fast forward to the 20th century, you had electronic watches that were available to all. How important is craftsmanship now in watchmaking, Joanna?
Well, actually, we can see it this week how important it is, because even with the architecture of the booths, thinking Piaget with the palace decor that they have surrounding the whole architecture of their booth. We have some maisons bringing craftsmen and women with them. So we have enamelers at Jaeger-LeCoultre, or we have guillocheurs, the art of guillocher with Chrono Swiss. So that's definitely a confirmation that craftsmanship and these rare techniques are just as essential now as they were back then.
Just as essential, and also, I guess, a way to differentiate the watch that we see here from the watch that you might see on a high street. Absolutely,
absolutely. The thing is, craftsmanship has always been in the center of the industry, but now we have the feeling that it's taking part in each maison as a differentiating mean. And in comparison to all the sport watches that we see that are great, absolutely beautiful, but it's also a way to prove to the customers that we can do something different, something unique, and bring another touch to watchmaking, actually.
Let's talk about some of the actual crafts that we're seeing on display. I think you mentioned there enameling. There are the sort of old crafts, and then the kind of the newer resurgent crafts. Joanna, can you give us a bit of a run through?
Yeah, so it's really, we are remastering the old crafts. So it's great to see, for example, enameling on curved surfaces, guilloche on very curved solid gold bases, which is not easy to do and is extremely rare, but we are remastering these crafts from before. But as you say, Belle, yeah, it's becoming like a contemporary craftsmanship. We are moving with the times and making it relevant to today. Yeah. Even if we think of the special stone setting that we are seeing coming up new, and even the shape of the cut of the stones that we see, for example, Roger Dubuis, which is a really innovative, contemporary way to show craftsmanship.
Lorenzo, are there any sort of crafts you've spotted that are really catching your eye this year?
I have my love goes for vintage watches, so I'm really interested by all those crafts from the 1960s to 1970s. For example, Piaget is an absolutely master of craft, and within the brand, they work a lot on craftsmanship and also on the work on the bracelets and the cases, and that's something that is really unique. And I see a lot of young collectors and young people in the industry that are getting more and more into this category of watches, as they are really original, differentiating, and beautiful at the end.
Are we seeing things like filigree this year, you know, marquetry, that kind of thing, Joanna?
Yeah, we have the marquetry, the mosaic dials, and we have a combination of different crafts. Like, I'm thinking Hermes with the little gold beads on the enamel surfaces, with their galloping horse collection. And the combination of layers of different, like guilloche on enamel dials that really bring this translucency up to the top. It gives us a 3D effect onto the craftsmanship. This is really interesting this year.
And I guess you touched on it, Joanna, but we really must talk about how difficult these things are to do. They're not things that you can learn even in a school. Talk about that a bit.
That's really interesting. But actually, for the last few years, we in Switzerland are trying to introduce those craftsmanship techniques to the watchmaking school, let's say. But for a long time, it was really something, and it's still today something that is really hard to understand, and to evolve within this category of watches is really hard. So most of the time, in a watch brand, you will have two or three people working on that kind of crafts, and that's something really unique, and it's something that needs to be taken care of, and making sure that it's a legacy that is passed on by generations. So
I mean, it's flat. Go on, Joanna. Yeah.
I think it's a really nice point, yeah, because we see all these dazzling new pieces, but we can't forget that behind it, it takes time, it takes skill, and maybe there are only one or two that really master that craft within the maisons. And this is somehow a constraint to slow us down a little bit with the fast pace of new products and new releases. And I think it's nice because it's the human aspect at the end of the day that producing the craft.
And really to separate these watches from mass market watches, you know, there is a handmade quality. It's extraordinary to me that, you know, a craftsman could go, or craftswoman could go on holiday or could be sick, and that's it. You would cease production of that particular watch for that time. Yeah, it's completely amazing.
That's why the human is central, and that, I mean, in general in watchmaking, the human is of course core to the product. But for crafts like this, like we're talking about, it's really central, because you mentioned it. Without them, there will be nothing. A machine will not replace that kind of craft, and that's really important. That's why the human is getting more important in this aspect, and brands are also showcasing the people behind those crafts, which was not really the case back then.
That's right. In the past, it was these craftsmen and women were working, and it was maybe their life ambition to make one piece like this, one special piece, but they were very much unnamed usually. But now we have names like Anita Porcher and famous engravers that are getting their recognition, which is great, because without these people, we wouldn't have these beautiful timepieces.
And it's interesting that they're obviously getting the recognition between the brands who kind of fight to have them. Yeah. Are they also getting recognition now from the end user, from the client?
Totally, and we see this coming up also at the level of customization. The clients now can choose a type of opal or choose a meteorite from a certain different kind of shapes and sizes, and they can really choose their own unique watch and make their own unique watch. So they are also knowing the quality behind this kind of work.
At the end, it's maybe the ultimate watch you can get, basically,
Well, and also this sense that even if the watches are, I guess, on the face of it, supposedly the same, there is a uniqueness, because that person would have been in a different mood when they were enameling or doing leather marquetry on one watch or another, which is quite special.
And usually these craftsmen and women, they can identify their own work afterwards. True. So that's an extra special touch. If you can say, oh, this was made by so-and-so, and that's why I'm wearing it, that's why I selected it. It's your personal, it's very emotional. Absolutely. So it's really portraying the crafts and how they should be.
I think that's something that is really also interesting in terms of who does that kind of work, because nowadays we see brands looking for those artists from outside the watch industry. So they, for example, you mentioned customization, but a lot of brands are looking towards, let's say, other types of crafts, for example, tattoo artists or things like that, and embrace it within the watchmaking culture. So
yeah, I think it's a real move that we are seeing towards this more contemporary craftsmanship.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. Where are we seeing sort of tattoo, that kind of edge to watchmaking?
In terms of the brands,
Yeah, which brands do we see that in?
I don't have the particular brands in mind, but for example, for Marqueterie, I remember that I forgot his name, unfortunately, but he worked for I think Girard Perregaux or other brands. But he was a skater, a bit of an outcast, a young outcast, a fan of hip hop music and stuff. And he was working on marqueterie for himself, but on wood marqueterie for nothing related to watches. And he was taking then within the industry to develop his art and create some amazing and original and funky a bit, let's say, dials. And that's something pretty unique and refreshing to see.
Yeah, it brings a completely new aesthetic to the timepieces, and brands can really, within their own DNA, within their identity, then they can really enhance to bring it towards and appeal to younger generations as well and new clients.
Are the brands themselves taking it upon themselves to train up the next generation? Are they taking, a particular craftsperson and saying, "I'd like you to train this younger apprentice"?
I think it's certain is that they have to, otherwise the craft will die, unfortunately. So it's really central, and I'm sure the people managing those brands are understanding how important it is for the brand image. So they will definitely let's say train other watchmaker and craftsmanship and women into the category of watches.
And let's face it, it's not as if you can go on a training course or read a book and then you know how to do it. So it's really training with the master who has been able to do it. Perhaps it's only that one person who has been able to do it for many, many years within the brand. And of course, they have to see that the next generation get these skills so that they can continue into the future.
It's very interesting how it kind of mirrors, I guess, trends across different industries. We have had over the last 100 years that sort of industrialization, this dying out of arts, of craftsmanship in that way. And now this resurgence towards it. And do you think the watchmaking world is mirroring that, where it's actually this interest again? People are fascinated by people working with their hands.
Totally, and I think it's all to do with the value at the end of the day. You know, you have something that has been done to such a extreme value, and it's going to keep its value over the next generations. So better to invest in something like this, even though it may be, have a healthy price tag attached to it, but you really see the value within what you have.
As you mentioned, time is money at the end of the road, and the time it takes to create a piece like this, it reflects at the end the value of the product.
And I think it's very nice, the way Beauregard, they say for each dahlia, it takes a season for it to bloom. So it takes time, and we cannot speed up this process, which is good. It's a good thing we cannot do that.
Which, as you say, is the value in these. I wonder, this is a very unfair question to ask you, but I wonder if you have a favorite display of craftsmanship at the Salon this year that you've seen. I'm going to look at both of you at the same. Is there anyone who wants to go first on this? Anyone got one in their head? Lorenzo?
As I mentioned before, I'm really a fan of Piaget and their work and their heritage. So for sure, I would say the jewelry cuff watches that they've announced this year, it really takes inspiration from the past, but it also brings, let's say, a refreshing way of doing it. The Décor Palace, the Palace Décor, which is amazing, engraved in the bracelet, and also the work on the stones and the comeback of sort of the stone dials, which is something that is, again, really appreciated by young collectors. And we've seen that at the Piaget booth, they were presenting the Andy Warhol watches with many different stone dials. So it's something that is really taking a place in the industry even more.
Joanna, what about you?
Yeah, I think I would go for Louis Monet, so an independent brand that have really come out with different unique pieces, 81 puzzle pieces, if you can imagine, all hand painted and then reassembled, so you see the different dimensions. So they don't reassemble it flat, so that you see it has been hand painted also each side of it. So that gives a real depth to the dial, and each one is a unique piece, and then it is a wildlife picture for each of 3 watches.
And a brand that we haven't mentioned is Cartier. Cartier is also known for their crafts, and I think this year they managed to respect their past while still proposing original ways of working with the different crafts. So that was amazing. I don't know if you've seen
I've seen, and the clash, for example, with the moving stones on the inside of the bracelet.
Incredible,
was amazing, and it's so fitting and so elegant for the maison.
Yeah.
It just fits. I mean, they put the bangle on the little banois, and you see it should have always been there. You know, it's so everything they do has been well thought out, and it really fits as if everyone thought, yeah, why didn't we have this always? Yeah.
I'm so glad to have the favourites there. We've got 3, which is wonderful. Thank you so much, Lorenzo and Joanna, for being with me today. And thank you very much for watching us, not only today, but all the way through the week. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you, and we will see you very soon. Goodbye.